Hello everyone. In this quick start video, I'm going to show you how to install a trusted boot Kairos system based on Hadron Linux. Trusted boot is special in the sense that it's the most secure way to set a system so that only your images boot in that system. If someone manages to do some changes, the system will simply not boot because the measurements of those images that we put are not going to be the ones that have been installed into our TPM chip. Now, for this, we're going to need Docker and VirtualBox. And like I said, you're going to need a set of keys. So first thing we're going to do is to generate those keys. We're going to be using AuroraBoot. AuroraBoot is our bootstrapping application, which helps us with different things like key generation, artifact generation. I put it with expiration of 365 days and just some name here to assign it to the keys. Then you can check the keys here, the different keys that we're generating here. If you want to know in detail what they are, look into the documentation further. Just keep in mind that you need to keep them safe. Don't give this to anyone, otherwise they can create images that put on your system, and don't lose them, otherwise you cannot you might end up with a bricked device. We're also going to create a Docker file, just like we did when we were extending the system. In this case, is just a little bit different. We start also with including Kairos in it because it's the initializer that we're going to be using. And instead of based on Hadron, we're going to base our image in Hadron Trusted. Why? Because they have some different packages. For example, Hadron is based on, Hadron is using Grub as the bootloader, while Hadron Trusted is using systemd boot as the bootloader. And the other interesting change here is that we also pass here the trusted true flag to Kairos init, so that it knows that we're interested in a trusted boot installation. So now that we have that, we can run the build script, which I had run already here, so it was cached, but you saw how this is relatively fast with Hadron. And now we're going to build an ISO that we can boot into our VM. Well, this is happening. Well, let me just mention that again, we use AuroraBoot. We build a unified kernel image, and we pass the keys that we were that we just previously did, so that they can be used to sign the image, and we base it on the recently built image that we have here. Now, if I go to build, you can see that I have an ISO that I can start, and it even tells me everything that I need to know. It's a Kairos system based on Hadron, this version of Hadron standard, which means that it comes with Kubernetes. It's for AMD 64, generic because there's no particular board in x86 in this case. It's version 1, that's minor version 1, that's my decision. You can choose whatever version you want, and it has K3s version 1.33.6, and last but not least, it's a UKI image. That way you can distinguish between the normal BIOS images. So now let's go into VirtualBox. We create a new machine. We're going to call this one Hadron Trusted Boot. You can obviously call it whatever you want, and I have the built image here. Now I can say I want to use install a Linux system. We put here 2 gigs of RAM again. In this case, we say we use UEFI, and for disk, we're going to put a bit more this case, not because the system needs it, but because there's a little bit of there's a tiny bug there that needs to be fixed. So for now, just put a bit more, but later on it should be 8 gigs should be fine. Before we start it, if you want to SSH into it, again, bridge adapter. And one last important aspect is that we need to add a TPM chip to this machine. Unfortunately, you cannot do this through the UI, but you can do it from the CLI. So that's what we do. We modify the VM, telling it the name, and we tell it to add a TPM2 chip. Now that we have this, we can start the VM. And you can already see how it's a little bit different, because as I was saying, it's not using the bootloader is different. It's not using grub. That's why we see something. The UI looks a little bit different, but it's going to spin the live CD first. There we can see Kairos booting. Let me see what else we need to do. We're going to do the installation also via the web UI. So we should get an IP here soon. And it's 52. Oh, perfect. The one I already had here. Now I want to copy this configuration, which again is the same process that we did for the non-trusted boot. Kairos will understand the same type of cloud config. Now, the one difference we're gonna do this time, the device stays auto. It's gonna pick the 25 gig drive that we put. We're gonna tell it to power off, because at least in VirtualBox, there's no way. Now it has finished and it's shutting down the system. As it does that, we're gonna need to edit the system so that we can remove the CD-ROM. And as you can see now, there's an active, a passive, and a recovery that have been installed, set up. So our system has been installed properly. While it boots, we're going to go to the console and SSH, prepare the command to SSH into it. Almost there. Kairos is the password in this case. And you can see that we are already in a trusted boot system. There's not much of a difference that we can see from here, but at least from the Kairos release, we should be able to determine that it is a trusted boot system. With this, we have gone through all the quick starts that we prepared for Hadron. Now you can dive into deeper into the documentation, or you can go into our community page and reach out with any questions or suggestions that you might have. Thank you.